Today we're talking all things sandbag. How do I get this sandbag, or D-ball, whatever it is, from the floor to my shoulder in an efficient manner? Now I know what you're thinking. Easy. I can just pick it up and just muscle it to my shoulder. And you probably can. But as soon as you start adding weight, if we go from a 100-pound sandbag to a 150 to a 200 to a 250, it becomes more and more important that you have good key concepts down for how to approach a sandbag or a D-ball. So today we're going to be talking about all points of performance related to how to pick up a sandbag. So I've got a 150 here, but I've also got a wall ball that I'll be showing and demonstrating on the wall ball today. So key points of performance for a D-ball or a sandbag. Starting position is key. Same as every movement you do inside of a gym. How you start is how you finish. If I start too far on my toes, too far back on my heels of the barbell, I'm probably going to fail. Similar concept for a sandbag. So when I approach a sandbag or a D-ball, the first thing I need to think about is how do you grab it? How are you gripping the sandbag? Most people don't think about this. Most people, when they come up to a D-ball or a sandbag, they use their God-given hands. And that's fine. But the problem is you use more and more reps, you do more and more of these, your hands, your grip is going to get tired. So instead of just using your hands like this to pick it up, instead what I want you to do is actually use your forearms. So the more points of contact you have with this bag or with this ball, is the better it is in the long run. So instead of grabbing it here, I would highly recommend you slide your hands down and use your forearms. From there, I want you to take into concern what your back looks like. So I don't want you to pick up a bag or a ball like this, right? I don't want you to pick it up overextended like this. I want you to have a good, strong back, right? Brace your core. From there, I want you to think about where you're actually grabbing the bag at. I know what you're thinking. This is a lot of starting concepts, but again, it's key. How you grab the bag is going to become important once we get it to our hips. How I like to look at it is imagine the ball or the bag as the earth. We got a hemisphere that goes around the earth, which is halfway on top of the bag, halfway in the middle. I want you to grab it around the hemisphere. If I grab the bag too high on the top, right, what's going to happen is when I bring it up to my hips and I violently extend, the bag's just going to slip out. It's going to be really hard. If I grab the bag too low, right, so it's way too low, when I pick up to my hips and I violently extend, it's going to flop over the top of my hands. So make sure you're right in the middle of the bag. So we've talked about back, we've talked about grip, we've talked about where to grab the bag, the ball. Now we're going to talk about our hip extension. So as soon as we grab the bag or the ball and we get it up from here, we pick it up into our hips, right? Resting it on our knees sometimes. From there, it's just like a power clean, just like any other barbell movement. We're going to be using our hips in a violent hip extension. I don't want you to bring the bag straight up like this, right? I don't want muted hips. I want you to use your hips. You train them with a barbell, you need to use them on a bag. So from here, I want you to bring the bag or the ball back into your hips and then a violent extension up, and that's when the bag or the ball becomes slightly weightless, and that's when you're going to use your arms to bring it up. You can drop underneath it if you have to, but then you receive it up on your shoulders, usually to one side or the other of your head, or sometimes you throw it over your body. Just depends on what kind of movement you're doing. So again, key concepts. How you start is important. Using the right grip. How do you grab the bag? A strong back, brace the core. From there, use your hips. They're there to be used, violent hip extension, and then get under the bag as fast as possible.